It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ferenc Toth, President and founder of Secure Estate Management. Take charge of your financial future with your personal bank. Now, here's Ferenc Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show, and we are excited because we have an awesome guest with us, Ron Compton. Ron, believe it or not, he is an estate planning attorney. I'm going to tell you, and I know I'm biased, but he's one of the best in the business. In fact, Ron, I was looking at our CRM and looking at how many trusts that you have done for our clients over the last 15 years, and that number approaches 4,500. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So Ron is, like I said, an estate planning attorney, specializes in trusts, wills, probate, corporate entities, all those types of things. 35 years experience?
35, that's right.
35 years. And Ron, how many trusts would you say you've done in your career?
Well, it's been over 15,000 trusts, somewhere maybe 17,000, something like that.
Folks, people ask me all the time, and like I said, I've known Ron personally, worked with our clients closely with our folks we've recommended over 15 years now, believe it or not. And there's nobody better to work with. And one of the things I share with folks all the time, if you're looking for a good estate planning attorney that won't talk to you in legalese, so you'll actually understand what he's saying, this is your guy.
I think that's one of the reasons why people come in and see us, is they tell us that they've had a trust for 20 years, and this is the first time I've understood it. So I think that we do try to make it understandable for in layman's terms.
Exactly. And I love that. So, like I said, obviously, I've been practicing law here in Arizona for those 35-plus years.
The whole time. I'm a native, so
Excellent.
Haven't gone very far. I did move to Tucson for law school and then came back, so that's as far as I've been.
Okay. And I understand your son Andrew works with you now also. Is that
He
correct?
does. Andrew joined us a little over 2 years ago. He's been a lawyer now for 6 years practicing, and he's a great addition. And we're at the end of this year, we hire another one as well.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
So bottom line, if you're looking for a trust or you're looking to update a trust or will or any of those types of things, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to ask Ron a lot of great questions. So for those of you that want to know more information about estate planning, asset protection, etc. But before we jump into all this, Ron, how would they best contact you if somebody wanted to find more information?
Well, we have our website. You can go to ComptonLawAZ.com, and you can see us there. And then we also have our office phone, which is 480-325-1122.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron. So first question I always like to ask, and I know when we're talking to clients or recommending them, they look at a trust, and we typically recommend them to you. What is the difference between a trust and a will? We get that question all the time.
Well, let's start with the basic documents of estate planning. You have a will, and the will is essentially a statement that says, hey, this is where I want my assets to go when I die. I want to leave it to my spouse or my children or my charity or my neighbor or my friend. And that's really, and if you have small children who are minors, then a will also appoints or names a guardian to serve as the person to raise your child until they're an adult. So two good reasons there to have a will. You get to direct where things are going to go. You also name who your executor or your personal representative will be.
Okay.
That's important. Somebody needs to be in control of the management of your estate when you die. And somebody that's going to pay the bills and expenses, gather together the money, turn things into cash, distribute, etc. And then, of course, that for those people that have minor children, the will would be critical, in my opinion, to have so that you can name a guardian for that child.
Okay. So you mentioned a trust, Ron. You mentioned a will.
Mm-hmm.
That's who kind of assigns things to handle things after you're
Right.
gone, right?
Right.
What other documents are important?
So the will, and with a will, when we do a will, we also like to provide three other documents with that, and one is a general power of attorney. For example, so the will works when you die. It says, hey, here's where my stuff goes. But if you become incapacitated, somebody needs to be able to step into your shoes to pay the bills, deposit money, write checks. Back in the day when we wrote checks, kind of days gone by.
Sure.
But to essentially stand in your shoes as though you were personally present, invest your money, sell your home. Somebody needs to be able to do that. That's done through a power of attorney.
Okay.
There's also a medical power of attorney, which allows somebody to be able to make your medical decisions, your health care decisions for you if you are unable to communicate with your doctor. Well, and that could be whether you are just unconscious, you're in for a procedure, or you have developed some, disabling disease or something like that. Somebody can take you to the doctor and deal with the doctor, and the medical power of attorney should, of course, have all the HIPAA rules in there as well for the doctor's purposes. They like to see that HIPAA rule. And then the last thing, which is sometimes it's incorporated into a medical power of attorney. We do it separately, but a living will. So that's essentially, doctor, if I'm in a permanent vegetative condition or an irreversible coma, I want life-sustaining procedures withheld or withdrawn.
Okay.
So those are the 4 basic documents of estate planning. And beyond that, that's when you get into more of a living trust.
Sure. So if I understand correctly, Ron, what you're saying is a trust and a will kind of takes care of things after you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of attorneys and the living will, well, you're still here but not competent.
Well, and the trust also works while you're here as well. So in the 4 basic documents, the will and the power of attorney, the will works when you die, the power of attorney upon incapacity.
Okay.
But if you have a living trust, then with the living trust, that works whether you're alive or if you've passed, or if you're alive and incapacitated. The trust is a little different vehicle than the will is.
Okay. So we're talking to Ron Compton here, one of the top estate planning attorneys in the state of Arizona. He's done something like 15 to 17,000 trusts in his 35-year career. If you want more information on trusts, contact Ron at 480-325-1122 or ComptonLawAZ.com. That's Compton, ComptonLawAZ.com. Now, Ron, if somebody doesn't set up these documents,
okay,
these wills, these power of attorneys, trusts, all these things, if something happens to you, who would make those decisions otherwise?
Well, let's say you didn't have anything done and you suffered a stroke and you needed somebody to act for you. Then somebody in your family line usually is going to have to go to court to get a conservatorship and a guardianship proceeding done.
Okay.
So
are those difficult or expensive?
Well, they definitely, it's possible to do those yourself. However, it's not recommended by us.
Sure.
We do the guardianships and conservatorship proceedings, and they definitely can cost a lot more money than a power of attorney would. Okay. I mean, by thousands of dollars.
So what you're saying is this is one of those cases where an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure?
It's absolutely. Yes, definitely get it done in advance. And plus you get to name your people. You get to name who you want. And it's not just left up to somebody who's going to decide it for you.
Okay. I hear this all the time, too, that probate's bad, or you hear probate horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
What's the truth?
So probate, let's say you don't have a will or you do have a will. Okay, it doesn't matter. A lot of people think, well, if I don't have a will, then I don't go to probate. That's not true. So probate, in Arizona, the law currently reads that if your real estate, the equity in your real estate exceeds $100,000 in value, or if your personal property, so that's anything except real estate, exceeds $75,000 in value, then in order for that asset to transfer to your heirs, then you have to go through probate for that. Now, there are some exceptions, and we can get through there are 4 ways to avoid that probate, but so why is probate a difficult process? it's you're going to go to court and you're going to pay court filing fees. I suppose one good thing here in Arizona is we do not have a set statutory amount that the lawyer gets or the court or anybody else. It's really the lawyer's hourly rate, or maybe we do a lot of flat fee probates because people like to know ahead of time what are they in for, so to speak.
Right.
But even our flat fee rate is just sort of pretty much an estimate of the hourly time that we're going to spend, plus the fees, the court costs and publication and things like that. But so the process of that probate, going to court, taking your will to court or the assets, that's where you end up spending a lot more time and money and effort there, and everything becomes public information.
We are spending some time with Ron Compton, estate planning attorney, one of the most experienced ones in the state. We've worked with him 15 years ourselves with our clients, recommended thousands of our clients. And we're going to come back in the next segment and ask some questions about who should look for or who should look into getting a trust or these estate planning documents. And if you have any questions or want additional information, contact us at toll-free 866-515-6280 or yourpersonalbank.com. We will be back next segment, back with Ron Compton.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, call Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show, and we are having an excellent guest here, Ron Compton, one of the top estate planning attorneys in Arizona. And I have to admit, during the break, he shared with something that I thought was funny. I had asked him how many trusts have he done in his career, and he shared in the last segment something around like 15 to 17,000 in his 35-year career. But what was it you said, Ron?
Well, it depends on who's listening. IRS, I've done 3 trusts.
There you go. So CPAs would understand that one, of course. But again, thank you, Ron, for being here with us, sharing some great information on the trust. And we touched on a little bit about the difference of a trust and a will, the 4 key documents of an estate plan that you should have, understanding that trusts and wills and power of attorneys take over when you're gone. Yep.
So I like to have people visualize a trust like this, a bucket, okay? So I know we're on the radio, and so you have to kind of think about a bucket. And a trust, the lawyer, us, we build that bucket for you, okay? But the client then wants to put their assets into that trust bucket. So the trust becomes like a little temporary holding spot so that the assets are not in your name, but they're in the trust name. So if you have, the Jones Family Trust, instead of, Bob and Mary, that goes to the Jones Family Trust, and that's where they stay. And so when Bob and Mary die, the assets that are in Bob and Mary's name are less than our $75,000 or $100,000, as we said before. And so now they avoid the probate by passing from the trust down to the trust beneficiaries, whoever you want to name.
So that begs a question I get asked, or I see all the time. People say, well, I want to avoid probate, so I'm putting everything in the kids' names.
Okay, you can do that. So there are different ways to avoid probate besides a living trust. It just happens that the living trust is the best way. But let's just say, for example, number one, if you have no assets, okay, so you have nothing, then the trust is not needed to avoid probate. There may be other reasons for a trust, like we'll talk about later. But the other way to avoid probate is using joint ownership, and this is what you're talking about. Let's put it in the kids' names or jointly with the kids. I don't like that because now they become a joint owner with you, and so you lose control over your assets that way. There's also an issue about gifting and gift taxes when that's done, and there's also an issue about whether their creditors will become your creditors. If they get sued, their creditor is going to look for anything they own, and if they own an account with you, it could be it could lead to some difficulty for you. And so that's not a great way. I mean, if you're trying to do that to avoid probate, just go through probate. Okay, it's just that would be just easier and better. But the other way is today there's a lot of beneficiary designations done. So life insurance has a beneficiary, right? You can name your children, or you can name your spouse, or you can name whoever you like. And so these beneficiary designations have typically been with life insurance and IRAs and 401ks
and annuities.
Right. Now they've been used for bank accounts, investment accounts, your brokerage account, et cetera. And now we even have a beneficiary deed form in Arizona, so you can actually have your house or your property transfer to your heirs according to the beneficiary deed.
So it sounds to me like, Ron, if somebody's looking at this, they got various different assets, trying to determine, should I do a trust, not a trust, should I do these other options, probably should contact you and talk to you about it. That'd
be very good. Yeah.
And they should reach you where?
Well, we have our phone number, 480-325-1122. That's our office. Or ComptonLawAZ.com is our website.
Excellent. Ron, I want to get to something near and dear to my heart. My daughter, Aaliyah, 15 and a half, she was diagnosed with autism when she was 4 and a half. She's off school today. She wanted to come in the station to see what Daddy was doing. So, Aaliyah, you want to say hi?
Hi.
So are you excited to be in the station with us today?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, she couldn't wait to see what Dad did for a living. So, but Ron, as you know, we've set up a special needs trust. You did that for my wife and I and our family. What would you recommend to families in our situation? So
another good reason for having a living trust is that you can create a sub-trust upon your passing, so that if you have a child with a special need, or if you have a child who is maybe a spendthrift, who is not very good with their funds or their monies, might need some help, and so you can control this distribution from the grave, so to speak, as we say. And that works really well with special needs, or and I think it works well even for my wife and I, for our own children. For years we had our estate distributed over time for our children. Now, we didn't die, so it didn't become effective, and but as my children became more capable, we changed that to a little bit here and there. We tweak it over time, and that's a good thing too. The trust is very, very flexible for you. But I do like the fact that you can designate certain portions to certain children at certain times.
Excellent. So, and you also brought up another thought. What if somebody's done a trust, I don't know, say 5 or 10 years ago, or longer perhaps? When should we hear all the time you should update your trust? When should somebody look at that?
Well, I think you ought to be looking at your documents every year. Should you sit down? Do you need to change it every year? No, not necessarily. If your beneficiaries have changed, or if circumstances have changed regarding your beneficiaries, then definitely change. If somebody's died, I think that's a good time to look at changing things. If you have your successor trustees or your representatives who have, maybe somebody's moved away, or somebody's gotten sick or ill, and maybe they're not the person that you want anymore. You know, maybe it was a good friend who now you don't see much of anymore. Then I think changing would be a good time. That would be a good time to come in and see your lawyer and make changes to your trust.
And of course, you'd contact Ron's office if you have any questions at 480-325-1122 or ComptonLawAZ.com. Yeah. One last question I have for you. We talk a lot about cash value life insurance to maximize cash value growth. You brought up life insurance. Do you see, I talk about all the time, where trusts and insurance kind of go hand in glove together often.
It's very common. So people use life insurance for a variety of reasons, and putting the life insurance, sometimes we use an irrevocable life insurance trust, which takes the life insurance outside of the taxable estate. Is a really good use of life insurance along with a trust right there. And there are a number of other kinds of trusts. We use trusts for asset protection. We use trusts for charitable giving, different reasons. And we're willing to talk to anybody about that. And we do, for us, we offer a free 30-minute consultation to anybody that wants to come in.
And I've heard you speak about this a number of times over the years, the ABCs of estate planning.
Right. Well, right. So I think we start off with the basics of estate planning, and we like to lay that foundational groundwork first and move up from there. And so we want to make sure everybody's got their will in place and they have their power of attorney in place. And beyond that, then we can get to the living trust, and beyond that, maybe to the irrevocable. Maybe they have rental properties and they want to put them in an LLC or different things like that. Those are things that we're constantly looking at with people. As their estate changes, we like them to come back and have us help them through those changes.
And like I said, we're here with Ron Compton, one of the most experienced estate planning attorneys in the state of Arizona. I guess my last question for you, Ron, would probably be, okay, this all sounds interesting. Who should look at doing this estate planning? Okay,
a very good question there. Again, if your estate, if your home, you have a home and it exceeds in minus your mortgage, so your equity in your home exceeds $100,000 in value, it would be a good idea to look at having a living trust. And okay. In the past, Ference, there's no doubt that people thought, well, living trust, it's going to cost me, thousands upon thousands of dollars, and maybe that's true or was true, or maybe it still is true in certain places. But I think that the price of the lawyers' fees on those things have gone down, and I think they're very affordable. And so somebody with that kind of a home, somebody with maybe small children, where you don't want to just leave your money to your children, you need to have some sort of a trust plan. Even if it's a will with a testamentary trust, you ought to have some kind of a trust set up for those small children. So otherwise, it'll be held in a uniform transfer to minors account for them, and when they get to be an adult, they get their money. And sometimes adulthood comes very early, and they're not mature enough for it.
Yeah, my understanding is those uniform for minor accounts basically lose control when they turn 18. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. So, excellent. Well, Ron, we really appreciate you coming and joining us today, sharing us some great information on estate planning, asset protection, and like I said, some things near and dear to my heart, the special needs trusts. Aaliyah, did you have fun with us today on the radio?
Yes, I did.
I'm glad you were here to join us. Again, thank you, Ron, for coming. If you have any questions regarding...
Thank you, Ference.
My pleasure. Like I said, I can speak personally that Ron has done our family's trust. He's done trusts for over 4,000 of our clients over the last 15 years. I can speak personally in dealing with many of those clients. They've been very happy with the work that Ron has done for them over the years. If you want to look into estate planning, or you need to update some of your estate planning, I'm going to strongly encourage you to contact Ron Compton at 480-325-1122 or ComptonLawAZ.com. Again, that's Compton, COMPTON, lawaz.com. Tune in. Next segment, we're going to talk more about personal banking. We're going to talk about how to maximize cash value and answer some other questions that have come up over this past week. Ron, thank you again. Tune in. Thanks. Tuesday.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Tune in Tuesday at noon on Your Personal Bank Show on Money Radio.
Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
Welcome back. We just had a great guest, Ron Compton, estate planning attorney. I would recommend, if you missed it, go back to moneyradio1510.com and check out the podcast, Your Personal Bank Show. Check out the interview with Ron. Ron has helped over 4,000 of our clients over the last 15 years. He's set up over 15,000 trusts in his 35-year career. One of the most experienced estate planning attorneys in the state of Arizona. And that's one of our goals here. We had John Burley on as a guest a few weeks ago, one of the top real estate investor educators in the country. Ron Compton, one of the top estate planning attorneys around. So we're trying to bring on to guests, not only sharing the personal bank concept in terms of maximizing cash, maximizing access to money, minimizing taxes, all that kind of good stuff, having access to your funds, but also bringing on guests that are truly what I would call rock stars. These are people that I've worked with, have recommended clients to over the years, and I know they're just great at what they do, among the best. And one of the advantages we have with Secure Estate Management, our company, we do have, nearly 5,000 clients. We've worked with this for 15 years plus. We find out who's out there, who's doing a good job, who knows how to get things done, how to get it done right and well, and we can recommend those kinds of things, if you will, kind of being the financial quarterback. I know I focus on the personal bank concept a lot because I feel like so strongly that it's a powerful tool for most people. Certainly it's not for everyone, but I will say this: if you have not looked at it, or you haven't looked at it recently in terms of what I shared last week, in terms of if you don't have 50% or more cash available first year, you don't have the right tool. Look at it again. It is such a powerful tool. Which we like to start as your financial foundation. Have an account that can grow. Have an account that have access to money. Have an account that has tax-favored benefits. Also, it includes long-term care benefits. That's one of those things that people need but is expensive, and just keeps continuing to become more expensive over time. Have some death benefit protection in place for your loved ones in case something premature happens. These are all things that are needed and are necessary. And then if you want to build on that foundation and do other investments and build other, get returns on other things and such, go for it. But build the foundation first. Building a foundation on quicksand, doesn't last. But if you build it solid, consistent, and then go from there, you're going to, over time, you're going to have much more success. Get the power of compound interest working in your favor. Ron talked about setting up the trust, using life insurance combinations and all that. These are the things that we do. And by the way, in terms of the high cash value contracts that we talk about, there's various options. We can talk about a fixed option where you have consistent returns and you have guarantees. It's going to grow every year, okay? And then you've got the indexed options where you have returns that are based on the S&P 500s typically, where the principal is guaranteed and you don't have any market downside risk. So you can get double-digit returns on those good market years but not lose on those bad ones. And then those for the of you that are familiar with or comfortable with leveraging, well, there's a leveraged option where you can bring in a traditional lender, help contribute to this, and leverage your money, 3-to-1. So your money grows faster and you have more money for retirement down the road than you would have if you just did it yourself. So there's lots of options that we can do in terms of the personal bank concept. Again, it depends on the person. It depends on what fits for you. Contact us at yourpersonalbank.com or toll-free 866-515-6280 for more information. Like I said, I can't cover all the different options and all the different things. People say, what about annuities? Well, do we do annuities with? Sure, certainly, when the situation is right. My point is, you've heard me say this before. There's no such thing as a bad financial tool. They all have a purpose. There are definitely, though, bad fits. In other words, people have a goal in mind or something they want to accomplish, or this is what fits them the best, but they have the wrong tool. We want to bring the right tools. We want to listen and find out what the right tool is for you, for each situation, for each person. But I will make a statement here, and I shared this last week with a group of very successful people. They're very familiar with this concept. And I said to them, tell me a situation, paint me a picture of a situation where this is not a good idea. Having access, ready access to cash at a minimal cost, having tax-favored growth, having money that's going to grow consistently over time, having a long-term care benefit, and having a death benefit protection. Share with me where those things all combined are a bad idea for just about anyone. And the interesting thing was they weren't able to answer that question. It was basically, yeah, this is pretty much true. That's true for just about everybody. So again, not everybody's going to do it. I get that. But you certainly should take a look at it. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, here's the thing. I want to touch again one other thing here about the secret sauce. The secret sauce about how these really work and why do some of these contracts work and some of these don't. And it really comes down to this. Are you a passive investor or are you an active investor? What do I mean by that? A passive investor contributes funds. You earn interest over time. You can gain consistent growth with fixed options. Index options can vary in growth. With a passive investor in a personal bank tool, you can have no downside market risk. You can have access to the funds if you need it. You get a long-term care benefit, death benefit protection for your heirs, and build tax-favored income for retirement. Those are all the aspects of what can be done for that passive investor. What's the difference for an active investor? Well, an active investor invests time into earning and allocate monies, time and effort and knowledge to make more money. Those typically are your entrepreneurs, your real estate investors, and folks that invest money for themselves and often use entities like corporations and LLCs to transact business. By the way, many times these active investors are viewed as active investors because of their time commitment investing in making money. You know, how does a personal bank fit into an active investor's wheelhouse, if you will? Well, you contribute funds and earn interest over time, just like the passive investor. You get consistent growth if you take the fixed option or indexed, which means you have no downside market risk. Now, here's the difference. You have access to funds for opportunities at a very low cost. That is one of the keys to success for any business. You have long-term care benefit, death benefit protection for heirs, and you can build that tax-favored income for retirement. You can have compound interest grow for you for the long term while taking advantage of short-term cash flow needs to take advantage of opportunities. In the next segment, when I come back, I'm going to talk about the secret sauce I did last week. How do you know if your contract is structured and designed to maximize cash or not? I will share with you the secret. Contact us at toll-free 866-515-6280 or yourpersonalbank.com and listen to Your Personal Bank Show on Money Radio Tuesdays at noon.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, call Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
Welcome back. We're rounding third, coming into the fourth segment. We've covered a lot of great stuff today. We've had an awesome guest, Ron Compton, estate planning attorney. Contact Ron if you have any questions on estate planning at ComptonLawAZ.com or 480-325-1122. Ron has done thousands of trusts. Check out the interview. Contact him if you have any questions. He's done our trust personally for our family and for over 4,000 of our clients over the last 15 years. Great guy. Check it out. I was sharing a little bit, Chu, the last segment about, how the personal bank can maximize cash for you, cash growth, access to funds, also give you long-term care and death benefit protections in place, how it can work for a passive investor where the money just grows for long-term, you have access to money for emergencies, or that active investor, that business owner, entrepreneur, that person that needs access to capital, yet still wants to benefit from the long-term compounding for the retirement monies or whatever that they want. We talked about all that. Now, I mentioned I'm going to share with you the secret sauce. I shared it last week, but I'm going to do it again. Because, again, I think this is so important to understand the difference. The difference of what you've looked at before or heard about before versus a Your Personal Bank contract in terms of how does it maximize cash. Here's the difference. I want you to think of a teeter-totter. Again, it's radio, but if you can picture a teeter-totter in your mind just for a second. And think about, you've got cash on one side, you got death benefit protection on the other. Monies, when you contribute them to the insurance company, are going to go to one or the other, or a combination of both. And the question is, do you want to maximize death benefit protection? By the way, most people that buy life insurance, that's exactly what they're doing. Term insurance, for example, is exactly that. You're purchasing death benefit protection for a certain time period or a term. And you're doing that because you want to protect your loved ones in case of a premature loss of income, various things like that. There's good and valid reasons for having death benefit protection. I'm not against that. And most people I run into, by the way, are vastly underinsured. In other words, if something catastrophic happened to them, their loved ones would be devastated financially. I mean, of course, they'd be upset emotionally, but they also would be devastated financially. And you have to think about that for a minute. Is that what you want to leave your loved ones, potentially? But that's not what I'm here really to talk about. Is it important? Yes, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about maximizing cash growth. So if you think of the teeter-totter, the other side of is the cash side. How much of the dollars are getting allocated to the cash side versus the death benefit protection side? Most contracts are vastly weighted heavily towards death benefit protection. Term insurance, for example, has no cash. I had somebody contact me, listen to the station from a show, sent me an email, which was great. By the way, contact us at yourpersonalbank.com or toll free 866-515-6280, and asked me if we could convert a term policy, her current policy, to this Your Personal Bank concept, because maximizing cash growth made a lot of sense to her. And I said, we potentially could do that. And she asked, she already had one, could we turn one into this? I said, yes, there's something called a 1035 exchange. It's a tax-free exchange of an existing contract to this. I said, send me the information on it, and let's see if that's a possibility for you. Now, understand, if you're going to look at a 1035 exchange, there's a lot of factors that go into it. You know, how much cash is in your current contract? How long have you had it? Is there a surrender charge? All those things we need to look at. But I said, send it to me so we can look at those things and see if it makes sense. And she sent me information on a term policy. And I had to respond back to her, there's no point in converting this. Really, you can't, because here's the thing. There's no cash. If there's no cash, how can you build cash? A term contract is strictly a death benefit protection tool. From my standpoint, it's not even really life insurance. I know we call it that, but really what it is, it's a death benefit protection tool for a period of time, isn't it? So again, here's what we do different. We maximize the cash side. So think of the teeter-totter, heavily weighted more towards the cash side versus the death benefit side. What does that do? That creates more cash available for you day one and every year the rest of your life. How can you know if you have or are looking at a contract that's maximizing cash growth? I'm going to give you the secret. You ready? I hope you're listening, because here it is. Here is the key. Here is the secret of knowing if you have a tool that'll maximize cash value. And it's really simple. You have to look at an illustration. Before you purchase any of these contracts, or you considering that, you have to look at an illustration before you send money in, right? And if you've not done that, something's wrong. So you definitely want to do that. But you want to look at the first year cash value line. It's actually something that's very simple to find on every life insurance illustration that exists. It's called the cash value line. You want to look at the first year. If you contribute whatever X amount of dollars, is at least 50% of that cash, the dollars you contributed, available first year. We can go from the cases we deal with run from 50 to 85%, depending on age, health, and various other factors on how we structure it. Our goal is to maximize cash. And here's the thing. If you have less than that, and many of them that I look at, the first year cash value available is zero. Well, how can that be a cash value accumulation tool if you have no cash available first year? Some of them, no cash available second, third, even fourth year I've seen. What it is they're allocating far too many of the dollars to the death benefit side. So what they're doing is creating a death benefit protection tool, yet calling it a cash accumulation tool. And the client, the person, I ask people a question all the time. Are you wanting to maximize cash or maximize death benefit? It's just that simple. If you're wanting to maximize death benefit and you have zero cash the first year, you have the right tool. If you want to maximize cash, you want to have half or more of that cash available first year, and now you've got a tool that the first year and every year will allocate more of the dollars to the cash growth side, more and more dollars, compounding, having access to it over time, tax favored. That's the tool you're looking for. Now, we can get into the reasons why. The next questions I always get are, well, why? Why are we not getting what we're looking for? The two reasons are real simple. It has to do with lack of information, experience, knowledge, specialization, or worse, who gets paid. Here's the thing. Most people, most financial advisors, if you talk to them privately, will admit that they're not life insurance experts. They focus on managed funds, stocks, bond, mutual fund, diversify, all that kind of stuff that we all know and are familiar with, but they're not an expert or specialist in this arena. My specialty, yes, I do other things, annuities, various other things, but my specialty truly is maximizing cash value through insurance contract tools. So they don't know any better. And the other one is commissions, compensation. Do you think it gets paid on the insurance contract side or cash? That's pretty obvious. Cash is cash. There's just not much to earn from that side of it. If you want more information on learning how this can work for you, how we can maximize cash for you, both short-term access and long-term for your retirement, contact us. Toll-free, 866-515-6280 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's yourpersonalbank.com. We're having a ball here. I have my oldest daughter here, Aaliyah, with us. She joined us, shared us with the Special Needs Trust information with Ron Compton. Aaliyah, did you have fun joining us today?
Yes, I did.
She wanted to see what Dad does for a living, and it's fun to bring your kids and involve your family in this. She's 15 and a half and learning about money. Is it fun?
Yes. I'm so happy that my dad has a really good radio show.
Thank you, Aaliyah. And we want to thank Ron Compton for joining us again today. Contact us, 866-515-6280, yourpersonalbank.com, and tune in every Tuesday at noon for the Your Personal Bank Show on Money Radio.
Listen next week at noon for more information on Your Personal Bank. Contact Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com.
This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guests on this program do not engage in rendering legal, accounting, or tax advice. Expert advice from a professional involving your specific situation should be sought, if required. Permanent life insurance is a long-term investment. Products, optional features, and riders may have limitations, restrictions, and additional charges and may not be available in all states. Withdrawals beyond principal may be taxable income. Excessive and unpaid loans may cause the policy to lapse. If a policy lapses, unpaid loans are treated as distributions for tax purposes. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be penalties and surrender charges when replacing coverage. New products may include new surrender charges and contestability period. Policy guarantees are based upon the claims-paying ability of issuing insurance company and do not apply to the investment performance or assets in the underlying variable portfolios. The life insurance and annuity products in this presentation are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and are not bank guaranteed.